Let's get into today's episode of Why We Succeed.
Did you always think that you would start a business? Was it something that you always desired to do, or how did that come about?
Absolutely not. So I became a full-time entrepreneur as I filed for my divorce and became a single mom.
Okay.
So prior to that, I was a stay-at-home mom for 4.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had 3 kids of my own. I was raising 4 stepchildren, and I was like, I want to be able to be independent enough that I can provide for my children and still have that flexibility to, still be the full-time mom. I didn't want to be that mom that dropped off her kids at 6 a.m. and picked them back up at 6 p.m. And then I was too tired to have any interaction with them, and no shade to anybody who does that. But I wanted to be able to be active, to, do drop-offs at school and pickups and, warm lunches and whatever. So I jumped straight into entrepreneurship, and everyone around me thought I was insane. They thought I was out of my mind. They were like,
why?
You need to get a job. You need a biweekly paycheck. You have 3 kids to feed, a mortgage to pay, a car payment, a dog. What are you doing?
Right.
And honestly, I was like, nope, I'm unemployable.
I love the realness.
I'm like, God has a bigger vision for my life. I know that I was unemployable because no one would hire me based on my name on a resume. It was too urban. They're like, yeah, no. We're not even calling her in for an interview. What? We can't even pronounce her name.
Right.
So I didn't get those opportunities, to have those job interviews. And real estate at the time, I actually was into interior design. So I used to go to open houses and just look at open houses and fell in love with homes.
Okay.
And it shifted my perspective when I looked into, how much a real estate salesperson can make and the flexibility.
Right.
And although I ended up shifting careers into personal development after my sister died, I loved the flexibility of creating my own schedule, of being in control of my life, not having to ask for a day off, not having to ask to go to the washroom, not having to ask if I can go and participate in my children's lives. So as an entrepreneur, I get to put my family and my needs and priorities, how I want them to be, rather than having them dictated to me.
Right. And that's vitally important. I think that that's one of the reasons why a lot of entrepreneurs take that route, is because they want the freedom to make their own choices. They want the freedom to live their lives the way that they choose to.
And mind you, entrepreneur is not for everyone.
No, it's not.
It requires a certain level of discipline. It requires a certain level of perseverance and resilience, because not everything is guaranteed. You don't have that biweekly paycheck. You don't have, all of those things. It's literally the effort and the work that you put in. That's what you get paid for, like the fruits of your labor, right? And then there are times where you may not get paid right away for what you do. Like when I was in real estate, they told us the effort that you put in today, you'll get paid for 3 months from now.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. Most people can't rock with that. Most people are like, yo, the effort that I put in today, it needs to pay out next Friday or this Friday.
And we've been like conditioned as a society, like this microwave generation where we want things now. People don't have that time, that old school mentality where you plant a seed and you wait for something to grow and then you reap the harvest. Like today, we want to do something today. And how can I get paid for that this second?
Right. So I'm curious, what was that first step that you took? As you mentioned, fresh off a divorce, having to raise these kids, not even having the support of people in your circle saying, yeah, girl, you can do this, Makini, you got this. But, like pretty much having a lot of the odds stacked up against you. What was the first step that you took to start that business?
So I went after my real estate license, even though I couldn't afford it at the time. I made the sacrifice and I got my real estate license. And interesting enough, if I wasn't, I'm going to say somewhat of a planner, because even though I was a stay-at-home mom for 4.5 years, it was basically I had an allowance from my ex-husband and I would put that money aside. And I never knew what it was for, but I called it like my rainy day fund. And that allowed me like 3 months of living expenses. Well, minimum 3 months of living expenses. So when I started out in real estate, I didn't have no backup. I didn't have, like you said, the support and all those other things.
Right.
So I went in hard. It was like all or nothing. Jumped in head first.
Grind time.
Like grind time. I don't even remember sleeping sometimes. But like when things didn't work out at first, I thought, okay, maybe this is it. Maybe I should just get a job, do what other people, are telling me I need to do. And for some reason, my spirit was like, no, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. And I would do open houses for other realtors. I was in the office every day, learning, researching, prospecting clients, and nothing. I did not get a paycheck for the first 8 months.
Wow.
Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing.
Yeah, that's a long time.
A long time. So right about the time where I was about ready to call it quits, it was like, God was like, okay, you've put in some work.
Right. Like, yo, can we please reap our harvest soon?
Exactly. And the last 4 months of that year, I earned more income than the average realtor earns in 12 months.
Wow.
It was like the taps opened up and things just started to flow. And being able to earn 6 figures in 4 months, I was like, oh,
wow.
Okay, I could do this.
Yeah.
I could do this. So, it was a lot about, putting in the work. Like I said, you have to have resilience and be very, very strong at heart as an entrepreneur. Some people come into this and I don't know who they pray to, but instantly they have success, like right out the gate.
Right. Who they pray to or who they related to, right?
Like, I have never been that person. I've always had to put in the work. And I've always had to hold on to my reason, my why. Like, why am I doing this? Because money is never enough to keep you when things get tough. Yeah. So I just had to be consistent.
What was that why that was driving you?
In the beginning, it was mainly just my kids. It was inside of my household. Yeah. It was
because I don't mean to cut you off, but how old were your children at that time?
So my youngest at the time was 4, and he's now 15. Well, yeah, he's turning 16 in February. What month are we in? September.
Yeah. Yo, time be flying, don't it?
It was like 11 years ago. So my youngest was 4 at the time, right?
Wow.
So they were small. I would still have to bring them with me to a lot of things. I'd bring them in the car with me to go do showings sometimes. Yeah. They would come with me to do open houses sometimes. I had to make them a part of the business because I didn't have no choice.
Right. Yeah. So I apologize. I cut you off. You were going into your why and you were saying that it was your children.
Yeah. So in the very beginning, it was just my kids. It was about being able to do better for them, not wanting them to have the life I had growing up, wanting to make that difference just for them. And as I transitioned and got out of real estate and got into personal development, my mind opened up. My mentor, Bob Proctor, opened up my mind to possibility, opened up my mind to infinite possibility when we tap into source, when we tap into God. Right. And I was like, okay, so outside of leaving a legacy for my kids, I can make a difference in my community and I can make a difference in the world. Right. So my why became the impact that I could make on other people's lives and how that domino effect. So when I was originally thinking small with just my family and my kids, okay, like the difference I could make for them. Right. But when I looked outside of that and the impact that I could make, touching one person's life may make them go on to do great things that could touch 10 to hundreds of thousands of people's lives. Right. And then that, right? So you never really see the tangible effects of the impact, but I knew that it was far greater than what I was thinking before. Right. So my why now is about legacy, but not just for my family. It's for everybody that God assigns to me. I'm Makini Smith, the founder of A Walk in My Stilettos. If you are interested in turning your dreams into reality, head over to my website, awalkinmystilettos.com. You can also find the podcast of inspiring women sharing their stories of resilience at A Walk in My Stilettos on all podcast platforms.